Hey guys, this is an update on Bitcoin Cash. In our last update for Bitcoin Cash, we were looking for a potential lower low. We had a setup in place, although I wasn't really taking it seriously at the time, but we may have jinxed it. This is our 30-minute short-term chart on Bitcoin Cash, and you can see that we've definitely gone lower. We actually have more of a bit of a fuller pattern, so it wasn't that unexpected. We didn't look as bullish in Bitcoin Cash short-term as we did in other coins. We're going to touch on some of the other coins as well for a comparison, as well as the stock market, which finds itself in a similar posture at the moment with a lot of ambiguity. I'll have these charts linked to below in the description, so check those out there. But ever since we had our previous bottom on about May 12th, along with a lot of the other cryptos, our upside action, while potentially impulsive, didn't look complete, didn't look full. It looked a little non-standard. Technically, you could call that an impulse, but we never got any follow through to the upside. And as a matter of fact, we kept melting lower and lower. So we're calling this structure a 1-2 to the downside. And we've come down pretty sharply since. And this entire structure since then actually fits our Fibonacci proportions pretty well. Third wave hit between the 1.32 and the 1.61 extensions. And finally, we have basically hit the top of this box. That's about as low as we would have gone ideally on the short-term chart. So right now, we're not seeing any reversal yet. When we look at the MACD, the MACD, there is a bit of a divergence. We were most stretched at the bottom of our third wave, and we've just kind of been grinding slowly downwards since. Now, the story is a little different in some of the other coins. Bitcoin is, of course, our biggest crypto, our OG. And here, we can still call this a larger 1-2 setup, although it's very deep. We kind of invalidated that we may have a nested 1-2, 1-2. So this is still reasonable to call a second wave. There's a divergence. So if we can turn around here quickly, that would be good. We had a bit of a spike, but nothing that impressive yet. Ethereum, same thing. We didn't get a lower low. So technically could call this entire thing a 1-2. That could be an interpretation, although that probably counts better as a B wave flat. It's very tricky here because this looks like it could be an impulse. Maybe it's an A, B, C with more of a downside setup in place. Dash, like to use this one because it usually has very clean structures to it. Could call that a 1-2, although the internal structures are questionable. And finally, Chainlink, because it often gives us a warning sign ahead of time. Very ambiguous looking. This could be an ABC up. It could be a 1-2, 1-2. It could be a lot of different things. But our conclusion is that it looks very ambiguous. Shifting over to the ES mini futures, this is the representation for the S&P 500. We had a promising rally off of our recent June 17 low. Looked potentially impulsive, looked like we had 3 up, fourth wave sideways consolidation. And right as we looked like we're going to take off for a fifth wave, things tore back the other way. And it's not clear what exactly is going on. This could just be an ABC fake out with a 1-2 step to the downside. That could mean we have a lot more, well, not a lot more, but somewhat more pain, maybe down the 3500s region for the S&P, or maybe this is a B with a bigger C wave coming. Nothing is settled at the moment. So shifting back to our primary focus here, this is Bitcoin Cash, the long-term logarithmic chart. We went over a couple of alternate patterns, and while we have pulled back lower, you can see that our MACD doesn't look as stretched, so that's definitely a good sign. And looking at our recent history, we have what we're calling an A, B, and a C, and it looks textbook correct for the most part. You got an A wave, B wave, and the C wave has hit just about the 1.32 extension of the A wave. So that is, again, pretty textbook standard. And you can definitely argue that this is an ending diagonal, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went over that last time. So there's a lot of reasons to believe that we're close to a bottom, but until we get some upside confirmation, a 5-wave impulse up, nothing is confirmed yet. So that's what we're waiting to see. That is the red pattern. If we do turn back around, we would expect one final rally to complete the upside. Now we're going to touch on that again in a second. The alternate pattern that I introduced last time is that we have a lower low coming, and that was primarily signaled by EOS. I know I don't go over that too much in my Bitcoin Cash updates, but we actually broke all the lows we had since our 2018 high, May of 2018, whenever that was, April. And therefore, we broke our 2020 low. That was a significant change in the overall analysis. We're looking at this entire thing as an A, B, and a C. And Dash has gotten scarily close to that as well. Been looking at this one very carefully. While we could still call this potentially the bottom of a fourth wave, back here in March 2020, if we break that low, this whole thing could be an A, B, and a C. So I'm going to release an update on this coin relatively soon. If you do follow Dash, I'm going to go over that pattern in more detail, but there is enough reason to consider this as relatively high possibility, higher than I would like to admit. So that would take us potentially down to about 31. That $31 mark would give is actually a 1-to-1 ratio of our A wave. So I'm going to draw it here so you guys can follow along. A down here, B wave top, and therefore our 1-to-1 extension would put us right around that $30 mark. There's a chance we go lower, but A equaling C is going to be the expected equivalence if we do see that. And if that does happen, that means this entire thing has been a C wave, and that our entire correction off of our 2017 top, end of 2017, has been one long, painful, and drawn out fourth wave. So that takes some of the excitement away for immediate upside, but that is not the end of the world. Now, when we look at our internal structure, you could argue that this is a 1, 2, third wave down. I would expect to see at least somewhat of a consolidation for a couple of days or weeks before you have a spike lower, but corrective waves don't always follow the rules. You could see a direct drop. If that happens, we're going to have to keep an eye on some of the other coins. Again, Bitcoin Cash is generally not one of the early movers. I like to always watch Chainlink and Dash. Sometimes you see explosive movement in Ethereum Classic that could be a harbinger of things to come. Now, the glass half full view is that if we do drop down there, a lot of you guys have probably held anyway. So what's a little bit more loss? You could take some positions off the table because you may have an opportunity to buy back in. If you're underloaded or you're looking to buy the dip, I always recommend waiting for a 5-wave rally and a pullback to buy. And that is what we'd expect to see if we follow the red pattern. 5 waves up, 3 waves down. That would be your chance to buy. Much more secure place with plenty of upside left. Otherwise, we're going to, again, keep an eye on a lot of the other coins and even the stock market, because as I mentioned, there is a chance we have a lower low coming. So if this happened, it would be very quick and short-lived. Better not to make a panic sale, but if you have funds that you need tied up in cryptos, including Bitcoin Cash, might not be a bad time to consider taking some off the table if you really need that money for something else. But that's the case with any risk asset, any stock, bonds, whatever you use. Now, what do we expect for our final rally? Well, as I went over last time, we're looking at this top as a major third wave. And I've explained that, well, we can't really see what the 1-2 look like here. So therefore, we have to use other coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dash as our reference points. And in all three of these coins, it is very clear that we had a lot of action way back in the mid 2010s, 2013, 2014, and that this makes the most sense as a major third wave. And because the major coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, often suck down or suck up the altcoins, including Dash and Bitcoin Cash, it is reasonable to assume that that is actually a third wave top. And we've been in some kind of sideways consolidation, whether the entire thing is a fourth wave or it's a 1-2 or an AB. There's not much difference, functionally speaking, practically speaking. So therefore, we see this as a third wave, and we have one more rally left because we need to see a fifth wave to finish this. And we may have already started that. If we don't get a lower low, that means that this is an A, B with a C remaining. That means that this entire thing is a fifth wave. It would be an ending diagonal. I'm sorry, just a diagonal in general, whose subwaves would each be ABC. So I know we don't see what the internal structure of the third wave look like because we don't have that much history, but that would assume that this is actually an ABC rally and that we also have an ABC rally coming to finish this. I've actually taken that as my primary interpretation for Dash, in which I'm just looking at the entire structure as a big fat diagonal, ABC here, ABC for the third wave, and ABC for the fifth wave. Now, here's one quick caveat. I do mention here that the blue alt is that we break support, and that is actually the bottom of the fourth wave here. Remember, these are corrective waves. So if this were a 1-2 setup, you could not break this support that sits at 74.62. However, since I'm interpreting this as an A wave up and a B wave down, our B wave could stretch below the point of origin of this A wave. So again, you could have an A, B wave breakdown here and still give us this expected C wave. So technically, even if we break support, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're following the blue alternate. It could still just be the red alternate. This is what makes corrective rallies very tricky, diagonals. Whereas if you had an impulsive setup, there'd be a very robust rule. 1, 2, the second wave invalidates if you go below the origin point of the first wave. So that's a lot of technicalities from Elliott wave theory. What do I expect us to see? I want to see a rally get up to about 382. That's a long way up from here. If we get a 5-wave rally up here explosively, and a three-wave rally back, that would set us up to eventually rally into this box where there is a ton of confluence. I keep mentioning that 4,000 number, which sounds like a pipe dream, sounds absurd. And I'm mentioning hope is not a strategy. So if you are sitting on a lot of losses in cryptos, let's not think too much about the 4,000 yet. We need to see some more confirmation first. The only advice I would give, practically speaking, is if you have a lot of money tied up into Bitcoin Cash or any of the altcoins, diversify. So if you've lost, I don't know, 30, 40%, I would highly recommend diversifying. Buy some Ethereum Classic, buy some Chainlink, DOT, Dash, Stellar, EOS, whatever it is. Maybe even some more Bitcoin, Ethereum, because again, you don't know which ones are going to outperform. And I've met way too many people that put all their chips into one crypto, and well, that crypto went kaput. Maybe Luna. There's a few others I can think of off the top of my head. So I'm going to have plenty more updates as we go, including a state of the cryptos update once we get a little bit more market action to give us a bit more direction and clarity on what's going on. Subscribe so that you don't miss those. And if you enjoyed my video, don't forget to give me a like. Till next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.